we're doing today is basically to look at our party, particularly against the backdrop of the last National Executive Committee meeting. The high point was the issue of the National Convention of our party. So majorly today we'll be talking about that. I know there's so many issues that you would want to address and speak to. We would appreciate your indulgence to restrain this to that which we are doing relating to preparation for the National Convention and the actions and activities of our party in trying to come together in readiness for 2027, and of course, in defense of democracy in this country. So as you are very well much aware, the 99th National Executive Committee meeting of our party was duly convened on 27th of May, 2025. And again, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your participation and for enhancing as partners to ensure the success of all the processes leading to the meeting of the NEC. You remember that prior to that, there's so many activities relating to that meeting, and there were naysayers, so it will not hold, it will hold, but ultimately, it held. And that what shows, one thing in signposts is about the resilience, the capacity, and the orderliness for which the PDP is known, its capacity to activate at appropriate time its organs, and in line with its constitution, to look at the processes and ensure that the will of the party continue to move smoothly. We had challenges, no doubt about that, before then, but the successful convening of the meeting and the fact that the atmosphere at the meeting, which of course you witnessed, came out to show the capacity of this party to come together and be unified. You recall from different organs of the party, from the POT to the NWC, the Governors Forum, the National Ex-Official Body, the chairman, everyone was connected and were united in ensuring that the NEC was successful. The preparation for NEC has already started. And at that meeting, the NEC approved the constitution of two committees. One, the Convention Committee, and the Zoning Committee. You recall that the governor, the jury of his chairman of the Zoning Committee, assisted by Governor Dauda Lawal as vice chairman, and Governor Caleb Wufwang of Plateau as secretary. For the National Convention Committee, we have Governor Amadou Fintiri of Adamawa State as chairman, Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State as vice chairman, and Governor Peter Mba as secretary. Currently, where we are to activate those processes, there have been consultations with different organs of the party, from the Governors Forum to BOT to National Assembly caucuses of the party to state chairmen and the organs of the party to National Executive Committee members of the party in populating those committees so that there will be a broad consultation so that every part of the country, every organ of the party is involved. And that's what we are doing right now, just to give you up to date and to up to speed to what we are doing as a party. And to know that we are determined. And we're doing all of this, not just for this party. It goes to the bigger issue about democracy in Nigeria. We have been witnesses to comments by the president, a public forum, indicating his preference for a one-party state. But our party has demonstrated with that outing and setting up those organs and those bodies and committees to show that, yes, Nigerians need democracy and that they continue to look up to PDP because of its history, because of its resilience, because of its organs, because of its constitution, where nobody owns the party. Unlike the other party, where they will say, we say it in Yoruba, Baba Sokwe, which means Baba has said. That's not democracy. That's why oftentimes you say that because in a democracy where you have conflicting interests of many different background people with their interests, regional, it could be cultural, it could be anything, the ability of people to come together and reconcile those differences and ensure that you have a common goal will make democracy tick. So when you have that level of conversation, you are sure bound to have disagreement. You are sure going to have frictions. And that's what democracy is all about. It is about contestation of ideas, contestation of opinion, and then you reach a consensus that could help move the party forward, and of course, democracy in Nigeria. So we are for democracy. We midwife democracy for the military rule for many years in this country. And so we have a foundation of having divergent views and the capacity to recognize that divergent views and to reconcile them is what makes us tick as a political party. So our party is stable, we are united, we're stronger after the neck, coming together as a people, believing that not just for PDP, but for the sustenance of democracy and to ensure that democracy indeed actually thrives in this country. We have witnessed a lot of issues that relate to defection or no defection. I referenced that 2 days ago, or I think last week, that what is important, and that's very critical, we must emphasize that, election 2027 is not going to be about defection. It's going to be a referendum on the failure of the APC, the insecurity in the land, the lack of provision of amenities and basic things for human existence, the fact that every day Nigerians are losing, and they are losing their persons because of the misguided policies of the president. And we have said it severally, that reviewing a policy by a government, when the people are saying, can you take a second look? When you do that, that is leadership, that is strength, not weakness. But the APC has believed that when they make a decision and they pep it up with propaganda, then that should be the way. You either take it or leave it. People are complaining that we're dying by installment. Life is coming into almost to a halt. And the president and his team and his government, they are numb to that. In the last 2 years under this president, over 600 Nigerians have been killed. It's on record. And then we have not seen an action in that regard. But you see this government celebrating defection as if it's celebrating a successful implementation of policies. You saw the Lagos-Calabar commissioning. Again, you ask yourself, in a private sector, if you have achieved less than 5%, that cannot be a success. You can't run to the tape and say we have done well. The road is supposed to be 750 kilometers, and you claim to have done 30 kilometers. And even that is already being challenged. There's actually less than that. So it's a government that believes in propaganda as an act of governance, but propaganda does not replace hunger. Propaganda does not replace commitment to the people and believing in the government. The question that every Nigerian is asking today Am I better 2 years ago than I am right now? The answer is the same market. I do know. You could talk about money, but when you talk about devaluation, that renders whatever you are earning and taking you below the poverty line today, by world record or by world reports, over 100 million Nigerians survive on $2 a day. That cannot be progress, and that's why it is important for our party to come together, which we are doing, and we're making success of it. We're having conversation at different levels, and that the net outcome is a demonstration of the success of those actions behind the scene. So we just want to let you know that we're on course, working as seriously towards a successful National Working Committee and the National Convention that will produce a new working committee for the party and managers of the party. And we're determined to galvanize Nigerians on the need to sustain this democracy such that conversation and then alternative views and ideas can be put on the table for Nigerian people to determine. Only last week, the president had just asked for and requested for a $24.5 billion loan. Attached to that, one of the critical things they said there, which was actually very, very annoying, was that they're going to use that money to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. We were here when they said to us, we're going to remove subsidies, therefore we will not borrow anymore, we're not going to subsidize the subsidy on the petrol, and therefore there will be more money to go into one, provide cushioning policies and programs to take away the pain of the subsidy. Now, so the question is, where is the money? If indeed you need to borrow money to now cushion the effect of subsidy, 2 years after. Pain kills. Many people have died on account of the irresponsibility of this government because of their impervious to any reasoning, any alternative view, and that's why we're here. So, and they said something about part of that money will be used to take care of pension. Pension is a contributory scheme. So where is the money? So those are the issues that ideally the National Assembly should interrogate, which they're not doing. Of course, they have declared that whatever the president says is okay by them, and we have seen. So those are the things that Nigerians are going to challenge in 2027. To say, we need a National Assembly that will do its job and the People's Parliament. Surely not this one. Because they have said, okay, we saw on the social media the president of the Senate singing, became a choir master, but the president, everything is looking better. I wonder where he's living in an alternate reality. I'm sure he can't sing that song in his village because things are truly not looking better. One thing is clear, and Nigerians should recognize that. We're not in a position to just criticize for whatever it is worth. It is better for this country to do well so that all of us can benefit from it. It is not in our interest that the government fails, but the government must be ready to listen to alternative views that could help us build a country that all of us can have what we call the pursuit of happiness. I mean, look at what's happening on the security front. The governor of Borno State openly declared that, Mr. President, please listen to professionals. Don't listen to sycophants. That seems to be it's a cronyism of government, of people on the same team. So it's a government of the very few. And like we have referenced them before, that this is what I call, I've always, that it's a group of people and it's a special purpose vehicle. Because there is a group of people that are making sure and living from alternate reality and saying to themselves, oh, we're doing well, when substantial number, over 90% of Nigerians are not doing well. So that's the engagement we need to have with you, so that we want you to partner with this party and Nigerians. This is not about personal issues, it's about this country, democracy. If we want it to survive, then there must be alternative views. Then people must be able to contest ideas and then they must be able to air it, and so that we can have a conversation. And we should all say no to the president that the idea of a one-party state, it should perish that thought, because it will not happen. Not in this country, because democracy, a multi-party democracy, is what is ideal for a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multicultural setting like Nigeria. And not one man can desire, or a group of persons can desire that. I saw them trying to clean up their mess 2 days ago. It was reported that the chairman said there will be automatic tickets. And then when they saw the backlash, within minutes, they're beginning to walk it back. That is to tell you what is coming in for that implosion that will happen in APC. Because it is not a party that is not, they're not accepting divergent view. They don't want competition. It has been said, somebody said, therefore it must be so. But in our party, when you say, somebody else will say something, we can just suppose the two ideas, and then we come to the best one that will be good for the country. So, again, very endangered process right now, because democracy is in peril right now under this government. And we must all come together to ensure that, yes, democracy survives, that the idea of a one-party state doesn't happen, because it will not. And more importantly, that APC will be served notice that don't ever imagine that the defection by coercion, by inducement, by threat will change the course of election in 2027, because I re-emphasize again, election 2027 is not going to be about defection or party. It's about the Nigerian people against APC and its policies that have reduced them into nothing. It have caused them so much pain, and families are being dislocated. People are being killed on a daily basis. Looks like new normal, and we have a president who, in the heat of all of this, carries on as nothing's happened. In Niger State, we just have we actually condole them, and we're saying that publicly again, that we condole with all the people, the government and people of Niger State, for that unfortunate tragedy where hundreds of people have been killed by the flood. And they will say our president, we haven't heard anything about that. In moments like this, presidents should be available. But that is the best that the APC can provide. And that's why it's important that we're doing what we're doing, and that we're making progress surely, slowly, towards the National Convention that will recalibrate our party, and we have started with the National Executive Committee. The next National Executive Committee will be on the 30th of June, as conveyed in our communique after the last NEC meeting, and we're looking forward to that, to continue this trajectory of unifying the party, getting our members across the country to understand that this is a platform worthy of support for us to move towards 2027, so that Nigerians can have alternative. Check it out. And you recall that the chairman, after the 100 NWC meeting, 600 NWC meeting, which you all covered, on this same seat, addressed you, at which he gave you notice, or summon, and give you a date. At the next meeting, the chairman presided. So if the chairman presided over that, I've been wondering why it will not be a NEC meeting. So, but again, we are going beyond all of this. It's in the public domain that this party is trying to get together in unity and ensure that we work together, not just for the party, not just for our individual interests, but the overall interest of the Nigerian people and democracy. I think that is the overall thing. So there are so many conversations at different levels, and you see that coming up. And that's why today you see more relative peace than you would imagine. So I can tell you that we're making sure progress, and that's why there will be more consultation. It's continuing, and PDP is going to be stronger than you ever imagined, back to the basics and do the right thing. And so we're comfortable with what we're doing so far.
Right.
I just said to you, and I referenced that this party is having conversation, consultation. There's what we call voidable acts, and there's a void act in law. Yeah. So when people agree, and which underscores the need for conversation that we're having. We're here today at the PDP National Secretariat. We didn't just get here this way, right? There must have been conversation behind the scene. Why don't you allow us to let our processes go on and don't litigate on our behalf in court? But you're mentioning court. I didn't know if you're a party to that case. Don't litigate for us, okay? And don't be excited about litigation. There are void acts, there are voidable acts in law. And so when things happen and there are conversations that adults are involved in, you begin to see results. And that's exactly what you asked. Word wrestle. We don't wrestle power. We don't grab it. We don't run with it. What we do is to speak to the Nigerian people and say, look at the alternative. Compare your life 2 years ago, compare it now. Compare your life under PDP, 16 years, compare it now, the madness that's going on in the last 12 years, or 10 years or thereabout. Now, so we don't wrestle power. And that's what I said. I said, we pay too much attention to strong opinion in this country, and less to broad perspective of issues. And we want to de-escalate that aspect. I don't speak for Atiku Abubakar. This party has a process of conveying his position. And I'm privileged to be that vessel to convey through you to the world. If there's anything that's happening in this party, we will call you the way I've just called you now and convey to you, all right? And we don't need proxies to do things that we can do ourselves, okay? So whatever your assessment is, that will be, I mean, with all due respect to you, that will be your own conjecture. But we are a party that is governed by our constitution, by our processes, by our procedures, and we are focused. Our main focus now is the unity of this party. Is it important for the Nigerians to have conversation about how to get this contraption called APC out of government? Yes. But the PDP has a way of doing these things. And that's why you've seen, and I reference the neck again, when you found that outstanding success of the outcome of that. We are unified, we're working towards that same goal in the overall interest of Nigeria and Nigerians, and of course, democracy. They are happy, and I saw you smiling broadly with us. Now, what it tells you is this, that embedded in this party, it is capacity that in very difficult times, it can come back up to create the kind of momentum you are seeing. And that's what we are seeing already. Yes, is it slow? Yeah. Those are the outcome of all those behind the scene conversations. Whether I have said before in my opening remarks that there are conversations at different layers, at different, and I reference even here. We're here. What I start tell you, there are conversations, and we're making progress. Surely to progress. And I want to thank you. Thank you for all the questions. I'm excited that Nigerians are interested in what happened in PDP.